It has been a year of sirens. This one at 6:29 today, piercing a fragile dawn like a dagger, marks the moment of the first attack, exactly 1 year ago.
Israelis held somber ceremonies Monday to mark a year since the deadliest attack in the country's history, a Hamas-led raid that shattered its sense of security and has since spiraled into wars on two fronts with no end in sight. Hamas marked the anniversary of its October 7, 2023, attack by firing a barrage of rockets at Tel Aviv, underscoring its resilience after a year of war and devastation in Gaza. Lebanon's Hezbollah, which has been firing rockets into Israel for the past year in support of its ally Hamas, launched more than 170 across the border on Monday. As Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to press Israel's campaigns on all sides, the military said fighter jets targeting Hezbollah positions bombarded southern Lebanon with more than 120 strikes in an hour. An earlier strike killed at least 10 Lebanese firefighters, the latest of dozens of first responders killed in recent weeks, according to the country's health ministry. In a possible sign of the expansion of its campaign, Israel said it would soon launch operations on Lebanon's southern coast, telling residents to stay off the beaches and the sea for a 60-kilometer (36 miles) stretch along the Mediterranean. In the Israeli-occupied West Bank, Israeli troops shot and killed a 12-year-old Palestinian boy in a refugee camp, Palestinian health officials said. The military said it opened fire on Palestinians throwing stones at its forces. A year since Hamas' surprise cross-border attack, the war in Gaza rages on, even as Israel fights a new war against Hezbollah, escalating its bombing campaign in Lebanon the past 3 weeks. There is also a mounting conflict with Iran, which backs both Hamas and Hezbollah, that threatens to drag the region into an even more dangerous conflagration. Two main Israeli commemorations for the day underscored the country's divisions. One was held by the government. The other was organized in Tel Aviv by families of those killed on October 7 and of hostages still held in Gaza. They refused to join the official ceremony.
Hostage.
I want to think that also Bibi wants my dad to come back home. I know everyone in Israel wants, doesn't matter if they are on the right side or on the left side, but I know there are priorities, and I know that it's not the main priority now, not for the Prime Minister, and not for the rest of the government.
But it's your priority, obviously.
Of course. I miss my dad so much, and I worried about him. And it's been a year, and it's too much.
At 6:29 precisely, the moment the Hamas attack began. The minute's silence pierced by a woman consumed with grief, attended by paramedics, comforted by Israel's president.
Angry at Netanyahu for security lapses on the day of the attack and for not yet returning all the hostages. It was a sign of how Israelis' faith in their leaders and military was shaken when the militants stormed out of Gaza, catching the country unprepared on a major Jewish holiday.
This is a war that I think everybody here in Israel understands is a war of no choice. We don't have any choice in this matter. It's a war of national survival.
The militants killed some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and abducted another 250. Around 100 hostages have not been returned, a third of whom are believed to be dead, and ceasefire efforts have ground to a halt. Israel's assault in Gaza since October 7 has killed more than 41,000 Palestinians. Huge areas have been completely destroyed. Most of the population have been driven from their homes and hunger is widespread. Israel's strikes in Lebanon since late September have killed at least 1,400 people, including civilians, medics and Hezbollah fighters, and 1.2 million have been driven from their homes.